Happy Friday. So find a position to start in that matches where you're energetically feeling. So if you're feeling a little lower on energy, maybe you start lying on your back or in child's pose. If you're feeling pretty hyped up, maybe you start standing in a forward fold or in downward facing dog. Just taking a moment to connect with where you are energetically and physically. So as you choose that position, just observe your body by mentally scanning it. Start with the bottom of your feet. Trace your awareness all the way through the spine. And just notice any sensations that might be speaking to you to guide you in how you'll tailor your physical practice. Notice the way you're breathing naturally. Don't try to change it anyway just yet. Just allow it to give you information of where to start. So how often have you heard the phrase, let go? Especially when you're in a yoga class. I think I hear that almost all the time. What does it really mean to let go? If you are in a place of deep emotional charge, anxiety, anger, frustration, the words let go can feel annoying. But if it's just a light emotional charge, the words let go can just be the simple reminder you need to effectively release and move on. We've been talking in the past several days about samskaras, which is a yoga word for deeply ingrained habits that motivate our thoughts and actions. There are internal conditioning. And we also talked about ways to transform ones that we don't find useful or helpful to us, perhaps even harmful, into positive ones. Well, I want to share Abraham-Hicks teachings. Abraham-Hicks is a spiritual teacher of how to use the law of attraction. And one thing that they say is to meet yourself exactly where you are, like we do in the physical yoga practice. If you are feeling deeply emotionally charged, find a thought, just a better feeling thought, so that you choose the path of least resistance, thought by thought, to change the vibration or emotion of how you're feeling, moving into what you desire to feel. So here's a quote from the book, The Amazing Power of Deliberate Intent. Deliberate creation, for any desire to be realized by you or before anything can manifest in your life experience, there must be a vibrational compatibility between your desires and your beliefs. So how do we realistically move up the emotional scale to feeling better and to finding thoughts that serve us as we reconstruct new thought patterns, positive belief systems that will help us in transforming into positive samskaras? So there's actually some examples of the thought process of here of finding a better feeling thought. For example, if your desire was, I want to live a long, healthy life in this body, the belief that might be sitting there is that most people eventually experience physical decline. That doesn't feel so good. So you reach a better feeling thought by turning into different people experience different degrees of physical decline. It's not necessary to be sick at the end of one's physical life. That's a little better feeling thought. Moving on to something more productive. The length of time in one's physical body and the degree of decline aren't related. Now, this belief becomes even more liberating out of the old thought pattern into a refreshing, more positive one. How about in the terms of finances? Or how about the desire, I want the world to be a healthy place? That's pretty relevant right now. The underlying belief might be, there are so many things in the world today that threaten our health. Well, what would be a better feeling thought that's realistic? Starting to peel the layers. How about, while some places seem truly toxic, there are many that are really thriving? That starts to feel a little better inside. You can feel a slight shift. And another better feeling thought, our planet has tremendous regenerating capabilities. Well, that's definitely a better feeling thought. So how can you meet yourself where you are, not just in the physical practice, but in the mental practice, which is so much of taking yoga off the mat and into our daily lives. So what thought might you be sitting with today as you begin here now? What is your emotional level or how you might be vibrating? And as you acknowledge that, meeting yourself where you are, what is your intention for this practice? Not only moving the body and opening it, but moving the mind and opening it. Reaching for a better feeling thoughts and moving up the spectrum to elevating your vibration. So as you join your hands together at your heart, if you're not already, sitting down, take a pause and just allow yourself to seek perhaps a better feeling thought. And maybe you feel great right now. How do you maintain that positive feeling if so? Allow the breath in to fill up your lungs, allowing the heart to rise. Opening the mouth, exhale a sound. Inhale a little deeper. And through the mouth, exhale a sound. One more time, breathing in, filling up your lungs, and now the belly too. Sustain the breath through the mouth with a sound. And now as you continue to sound the breath, close the lips so you can start to warm up using Ujjayi Pranayama. Breathing in and out through the nose evenly, a gentle whisper. Tuning into that, let's start to make our way into downward facing dog. Setting the hands flat on the floor with fingers spread wide, tucking the toes and lifting the hips as high as possible while you draw your weight towards the rear of your mat. Take a moment here if you'd like to move around, perhaps by pedaling your feet in place, starting to stretch the backs of the legs more actively. If you're feeling any tension in your neck or shoulders, make sure that you're lifting the shoulders back away from your neck and completely letting the head fall. You might shake and nod your head softly a few times. Now feel the ground through the entire surface area of each palm. Root down especially between your thumbs and index fingers. Creating more space across the shoulders, rotate your triceps or outer upper arms towards the ground. And feel free to bend your knees as much as it allows more length in the spine by lifting the tailbone high and drawing your hips back. Now let's take a few breaths still in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Feel your belly active here as it gently presses towards your spine. Maintaining that. On your next inhale, glide forward into plank pose, top of a push-up. To stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists, either lower your knees or straighten the legs by firming the heels back, creating a strong line of energy from the crown of your head, down your spine, tailbone, and to your heels if your legs are straight. 2 more breaths. Just warming up here. Lift the sides of your waist. Continue to look at the floor ahead. Now as you slowly exhale, glide forward. Bend the elbows back and feel them hug your side ribs. Keep the neck long and very slowly lower chest and belly to the ground. Pointing your toes, feel every toenail firm into the mat. Continue to hug your elbows close to your sides and breathe in to lift the heart. Relaxing the shoulders down. Take a few more breaths in Baby Cobra. Now I'd like you to lift your hands a couple inches off the ground and notice how much your back muscles are what is causing your chest to rise away from the floor, more so than your hands pushing the floor. Then as you set the hands down, continue to use more of your back muscles, grounding the tailbone and reaching it towards your heels. Nice, and then press up to all fours. Tuck the toes and lift the hips again, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, lift your heels and hips high. Look in front of your hands and take a deep breath in. Now at the end of your exhalation, try to hold the breath out and lift your pelvic floor while walking or lightly jumping to the front of your mat. Coming into a forward fold, keep your feet hips width, parallel. Bend your knees at least a little bit and press your hands on your legs or the floor. Stretching the spine forward, pause for a few breaths. Now, can you recreate the feeling of plank in the strength of your leg muscles, your abdomen, and in the lengthening of your spine as you gaze on the floor ahead? Broadening the shoulder blades across your upper back. Take another deep breath. Feel the weight shift forward. Then exhale to fold. Firming down through both feet. Inhale, circle your arms up towards the sky. Watch your palms touch. And trace your thumbs down your center line. Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Hinging from your hips, exhale, bow into Uttanasana. Press your hands to the legs or the floor. Inhale, lift the heart, look forward. Step carefully into your version of plank. As you exhale, glide forward and lower, hugging the elbows to your sides. Now you could enter Cobra again or flip the toes halfway down into upward facing dog, really using the upper back muscles. Then engage your abdomen to lift your hips and draw your tailbone back to downward facing dog. Let's take 3 to 5 breaths. As you focus on rebalancing the lengths of in and out breaths and creating an audibly smooth, gentle whisper, you choose the energetic approach to your physical practice. With bent knees, look in front of your hands. End of your exhalation, lightly land at the top of your mat. Forward folds. Inhale, press to lengthen halfway, belly strong. Exhale, fold in. Firm down through your feet. Inhale, raise the arms overhead to stand. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Let's take 2 more cycles. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift the heart, lengthen halfway. Step to plank. If jumping is in your practice, lightly land halfway down. Then inhale into your choice of cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths. Bend your knees, look forward. At the bottom of the breath, lightly land at the top of your mat. Inhale, lift your heart, find length. Maintain that length and exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep the arms to rise up. Feel a little taller here. Exhale to gather your heart. One more, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, sweep the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Step or lightly jump back into your version of your vinyasa. Breathing in, breathing out, keeping that consistent rhythm. Now, when you arrive in downward facing dog, spin the back heel down, bend the right knee towards your nose, and pause, rounding the spine. Look ahead of you and step the right foot just between your hands for warrior 2. So notice that rounding in the spine, you're contracting the belly to lightly land the foot, using that center. Now aligning your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot, press down through both feet and cartwheel your arms to rise up. Virabhadrasana 2. Let's stay a few breaths. So right away, steady your gaze on a spot just in front of your right hand or close your eyes. If you're feeling heaviness in your shoulders, an alternative arm posture is to turn the palms face up by rotating from the shoulder joints. That can create some ease for the neck and shoulders. If you're looking for more rigor, make sure you have a wide enough stance that you could bend your right knee 90 degrees directly above your heel while counterbalancing the left outer foot pressing into the ground. How's your breathing? We're here for about 4 more breaths. Feel in Warrior Two how you're slightly turning in your left leg as you straighten it, while turning out your right leg to completely face the front of your mat. Your right sitting bone draws downward underneath your body. By firming the lower belly, notice the bowl shape of your pelvis sitting upright, affecting the feeling of length in your spine. Take another inhale here. Then begin to sweep the right palm up and overhead towards the rear of your mat in peaceful warrior. Keep the same bend in your right knee. Careful not to buckle it in to the left. See if you can feel your breath expand a little deeper into the right side of your rib cage, helping the side stretch, and down into the crease of your right hip. Notice the sides of your neck long as you relax the shoulders. Take another inhale. And exhale, rise up, straighten the legs for triangle pose. Now you might want a couple inches shorter stance for triangle. With the legs straight, slide your hips sideways towards the back edge of your mat while reaching your right hand past your right knee before lowering it either onto your right leg or just to the right side of your leg, maybe on a block. Now notice how this feels on the right side of your lower back. If you start to feel constriction there, place your right hand a little higher and notice how you can tack your right hip further towards the back edge of your mat. How's your breathing? Now the gaze here, if it feels okay on your neck, is directed upwards towards the left thumb. As you're broadening the arms, opening the chest and upper back, feel the length in your neck. While drawing your navel in towards your spine, turn your chest slightly towards the sky. Let's take about 4 more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana. Coming into Ardha Chandrasana, balancing on the right foot, look down at the floor in front of your right foot and steady your gaze. You might like to place your left hand on your left hip as you transition. Bending your right knee, walk your right fingertips about 6 inches ahead of your right pinky toe to the right outer corner. Then drag your left foot forward and flex it as you lift the heel towards the height of your hip, tacking the right hip back towards your lifted heel. Breathe. And as you open your chest entirely to face the left wall, if your balance and breath feel steady enough, try raising the left arm towards the sky. Or if you're looking for more challenge, bend the left knee towards your belly and catch hold of the top of the foot with your left hand. Like a bow and arrow, kicking the left leg towards straight where it was, while pulling the foot, turning the chest open. Whatever variation, take at least 2 more breaths, maybe stay a little longer. We'll eventually, lightly as you can, land in Warrior Two. Slow and controlled. Take a couple deep breaths when you arrive in Warrior Two. Take a look at your right foot and cartwheel your hands to frame it. Let's step into plank, top of a push-up. In plank, just pause. If your legs are straight, actively firm the heels back and feel they stack just above the balls of your feet. The fronts of your thighs engage. Look in front of your hands on the ground and lengthen your neck. Engage your latissimus dorsi by spreading the shoulder blades apart and slightly doming in between them. Take another breath in, just holding plank. Then contract your belly and slowly lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Deep breaths. Grounding through fingers spread. Turn out your right leg and spin the heel down. Engaging your belly, bend the left knee towards your nose and very softly step the foot directly between your hands. Align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot and firm down through both feet to cartwheel the arms and rise up. to Virabhadrasana 2. Now, right away, steady your gaze. Help to steady your mental and physical focus through your eyes. Feel your breathing. Remember, if you're looking for more ease in the neck and shoulders, you could spin the palms to face up here and consciously soften the shoulder heads down. If you're looking for more rigor in the physical stance, widen the stance enough so that you can bend your left knee 90 degrees directly above the heel while rooting down through the outside edge of your right foot. Imagine, without actually moving your feet, as though you could drag them towards each other. Feel a slight lift through your pelvic floor at the base of your spine. Pelvis upright, about 4 more breaths. So this is a very grounding and focus enhancing posture. Can you find some softness and a feeling of grace within that strength? Last breath here in Virabhadrasana 2. Now, keeping the bend in your left knee, flip your left palm up. Sweep that arm overhead towards the rear of your mat. Right hand lightly lands in your right leg, peaceful warrior. Notice that your left knee continues to trace the midline of your mat. See if you can feel your breath deeper in the left side of your lungs. Relaxing the shoulders, drawing your navel in towards your spine. Let's take one more breath. Then inhale to rise up, preparing for triangles. Straighten your legs and maybe shorten your stance a couple inches for easier balance. Now slide your hips sideways towards the back edge of your mat and reach your left hand past your left knee before setting it down onto your leg or to the left of your leg, maybe on a block. Notice how your body's sensations communicate how high or low you need to place that left hand. You're able to still wrap the left sitting bone under your body. And now you're tacking the left hip back towards your right heel while lengthening the top of your head towards the front edge of your mat. Notice any shift in the breathing pattern. That can be informative. If you start to feel a struggle to breathe, then how might you lighten the intensity of the physical posture? Meeting yourself where you are and little by little reaching for a better feeling, adjustments, mentally or physically. Let's take about 4 more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana. Now this is a blueprint for the next posture, Ardha Chandrasana. So feel this as an imprint of where we're going to go while lifting the right leg, if that makes any sense right now. Take a look at the floor just in front of your left foot. And as you transition, you might place the right hand on your right hip. Steady eyes, steady breath. Bend your left knee. Crawl your left fingertips ahead of your left foot and to the left, about 6 inches ahead. Drag the right foot forward. Flex it and lift the heel to the height of your hip. Now it really helps for me to visualize that my right foot is pressing firmly against a wall towards the rear of my mat. And that left hip is magnetizing towards the wall too, while the crown of my head is magnetizing towards the wall at the front of the mat. Now, if your balance feels pretty steady, you might raise the right arm. You might add Chapasana by bending the right knee towards your belly and catching the top of the foot. And like a bow and arrow, kicking the right leg towards straight where it was while pulling the foot to actually give your quadricep a stretch as you open the front of your right shoulder. Take at least a couple more breaths in whatever version you're in. And on your own, try to softly step back to Warrior 2 when you feel ready. Feeling your connection to your center as you transition between postures. Yeah. Take a couple of breaths when you land. In warrior two. We're going to exit a little differently. So just slide your feet, your back foot towards the top of your mat and come to stand, mountain pose. We're going to enter a new sun salutation, which is B, the modified version. So step your feet together for full chair. If you want a modified chair, keep your feet hips width apart each time and parallel, just like your thighs. Then bend your knees, sink your weight towards your heels. If your feet are together, make sure your knees are together too. And if you're looking from a rigor, you could graze the floor with your fingertips and try to keep your hips that low. Let's sit for about 3 breaths. Now feel how you're supporting the natural curve of your lower back, not overarching it, but drawing the tailbone towards the floor as you hug the front ribs towards your back. Relaxing the shoulders, lift the chest, take another breath in. Exhale, shift forward to folds. Inhale, press with your hands and lengthen halfway up. Step back to plank, either take a full-on vinyasa or cat-cow pose to get back to downward facing dog. Remember, you have so many options to be creative with as you meet yourself where you are in the moment as that moment changes. Now, arriving in downward dog, breathe in to raise the right leg behind you. Keep your hips facing forward and exhale with control in the belly, step the foot just inside of your right hand. Now pause here and spin the back heel down, making sure your feet are about hips width apart so that it's easy to root both of your feet on the floor and keep your hips facing forward. Now press through your feet to rise up. Virabhadrasana 1. Let's take a few breaths. Like a lunge, bend your front knee just over the heel, but scissor the right hip slightly back. Unlike a lunge, press your back outer heel into the floor. Straightening the left leg, bring the left outer hip forward. Now as you engage the lower abdomen, slightly lift your frontal hip bones, allowing length in the lower back. Relax the shoulders, maybe gaze up and seal the palms. With an exhalation, take it all the way down through plank into your vinyasa of choice, whether cat-cow or into cobra or upward dog. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Initiating with your breath. Next, inhale, raise your left leg behind. Exhale, contract the belly, set the foot just inside of your left hand, spin the right heel down. Give your feet enough space sideways to be able to face forward and ground evenly through both feet. Then inhale to rise. Virabhadrasana 1. Let's take a few breaths. Bend the front knee just over the heel. Scissor the left hip slightly back. Keep the right leg straight, press the outer heel into the earth, and bring the right outer hip slightly forward. Feel your pelvis upright, spine tall, arms long, shoulders relaxed. Maybe look up and seal the palms. That adds more heat if you're looking for that. Now with an exhalation, take it all the way down. Your choice, vinyasa, cat-cow, or you could go directly to downward facing dog if you're not feeling like moving that much more. You always have an option. Rest whenever needed. Now arriving in downward dog, unless you're resting, take 3 to 5 slow and steady breaths, setting the pace for us to practice the same sequence 2 more times continuously. So while I'm leading with my words, go at your own pace of breath as much as you can. Breathing in, bend the knees, look forward. Breathing out, empty the breath, then walk or float to the top. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Set up the feet for chair. Inhale, bend the knees and chair. Exhale to rise up. So that's a complete sun salutation B. Let's flow twice. Here we go. Inhale, chair. Without rushing, slow breathing, exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step or lightly jump back, whatever your choice of vinyasa. Keeping the breath as consistent as possible. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Arriving there, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step the foot forward, slightly to the right, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to warrior 1. Since we're flowing, exhale all the way down again into your vinyasa or not, meeting in downward facing dog. When there, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step the foot forward and to the left. Spin the right heel down. Face forward. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower through your vinyasa of choice. This time, we'll meet in downward facing for 3 to 5 breaths. Let this pause help to give you awareness of any shifts in how you feel in your body, emotionally, the mind, energetically. We shake things up in this continuous movement, and as the dust settles, perhaps new things come to light. Now bend your knees, look forward. Bottom of the breath, lightly land at the top. Breathe in to lift your heart and lengthen your spine. Breathe out to bow into yourself. Bend your knees. Inhale into chair pose. Exhale, rise tall into mountain. Last cycle of Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Inhale, half, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or lightly jump back. Insert your vinyasa. Making your way to downward dog. If you know the sequence, just keep going at your pace. When you arrive, inhale, raise the right leg. Exhale the foot forward and to the right. Drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower, vinyasa. Feel your breath flow. Feel your body follow. Downward dog, inhale, raise the left leg. Exhale, step it forward and to the left. Back heel down. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower, vinyasa. Having finished both sides, give yourself 3 to 5 deep, conscious breaths in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Before we wrap up this Surya Namaskar, we're going to add a little spice to it. So from here, coming into dolphin pose, you could either lower your knees to the floor, then set your elbows down so that they're right under your shoulders and you're on your forearms, but the rest of your body is just like downward dog. Or if you want a little more physical challenge getting into it, from downward dog, try to simultaneously lower both elbows to the ground with control, and you're in dolphin pose. Give yourself 3 to 5 breaths in dolphin. While there, head can be hanging, no weight carried on the head, or you could look forward. But use your forearms to press the ground away as you press your chest back towards your shins, and lifting your hips, you might try to walk the feet forward. Be careful not to roll the shoulders in front of the elbows. You want them either just on top or slightly behind. Now from dolphin pose, we're going to enter forearm plank. Looking forward towards your thumbs. To get there, walk your feet back until your legs are parallel to the floor. You're firming the heels back. Now broaden the shoulder blades and press them away from your neck. Lift the lower belly. Imagine as though you're trying to drag your forearms and toes towards each other while reaching the tailbone back towards the space between your heels. A little smile on the face, or a big one, can make a world of difference. How do we reach for a better feeling thought where we are? Take another breath in, and then carefully lower to Sphinx pose. Knees to the ground, pelvis on the ground, lower belly on the earth. In Sphinx, forearms parallel to each other. Lift your heart and soften the shoulders back and down. Feel your legs lengthen as though I was standing at the rear of your mat, pulling your ankles kindly towards the back of the room. Let's take another breath here. Set your forehead down to the floor as we enter Shalabhasana Locust. Really great for lower back strengthening. Slide your arms behind you and interlace your fingers. Try to hug the heels of your palms together. With your feet hips width apart or narrower, press every toenail into the floor, including the pinky toenails. Root the pubic bone against the ground, and as you breathe in, use your upper back muscles to coil your chest off the earth, counting 5 deep breaths on your own before lowering to rest. Now imagine there's a string pulling your sternum past the front edge of your mat, encouraging you to broaden across your heart space with your breath, while you lengthen the back of your neck by slightly looking down. Feel your shoulder blades melt down your back ribs. Feel your tailbone reach towards your heels as you root your feet and pelvis to the ground. And when you come down to rest, you can either go right into cobra or upward dog if you're feeling very energetic, or just rest. Lower your arms, lower your head, and take a few deep breaths. Your choice. Just meeting yourself where you are in this moment. If you need to cool off, take a big sigh through your mouth, maybe stick out the tongue in lion's breath. And then from whatever position you're in, come back to Sphinx pose. Forearms to the floor, interlace your fingers. Root down to your outer wrists, making sure the elbows are shoulders width apart. Tuck your toes. With the toes tucked, press your heels back so firmly that your knees lift off the ground. Feel the muscles in the front of your legs and the back engage. Now look down at your belly and begin to lift it off the mat. Look forward of your thumbs and come into forearm plank. Bring your feet to touch. As your feet touch, continue to press the heels back and roll onto the outer edge of your left foot, the entire pinky toe side. Flex both feet. Now come onto your right fingertips, left forearm stays where it was, palm face down. And then begin to raise the right arm to the sky, and you are in forearm side plank for another 3 to 5 breaths before you make your way back to either Sphinx or forearm plank. Now lifting the left hip away from the ground, hug the front ribs in towards your back. Continue to lengthen the tailbone towards your heels. When you're ready to, sweep the top arm overhead. Take your time with control in the center. Come back to forearm plank, maybe down to Sphinx to rest, or stay in forearm plank. Take about 3 breaths. Gazing forward of your thumbs, press the shoulder blades down your back. Feel stability in the shoulders. If you're not already, come back to forearm plank pose. Bring your feet to touch. Firm the heels back, engage your quadriceps. Roll onto the outer edge of your right foot flexed, stacking your 2 feet. Press the right palm to the ground, keep the diagonal forearm, and come onto your left fingertips. Lift the right hip away from the floor and raise the left arm, stacking your left wrist, your 2 shoulders onto your right elbow. Deep breaths. Feel your tailbone seeking your heels as the crown of your head seeks the front edge of your mat. Shoulders away from the neck, front ribs hugging the back. Feel your center. As you're ready to come down, sweep the top arm overhead. Slowly come back to forearm plank and lower your knees. Child's pose. A lovely celebration. So as you come to child's pose, take a few breaths. You might like to let your arms rest back beside your legs. Maybe turn one ear to the ground to gently stretch your neck. And then after a few breaths, switch ears. Let this pause again just help to build awareness of anything that might have shifted as you find balance again in the breath. As you're ready, crawl your hands forward and make your way to downward facing dog. We're done with that intermission. From downward facing dog, bend your knees. Look in front of your hands. Bottom of the exhale, lightly land at the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Choose your chair pose. Inhale in chair. And exhale to rise up. Now in chair pose, in standing mountain pose, step your feet apart, hips width, and then slide your left foot back about 2/3 as far as it was in warrior one, so that you can keep your legs straight, hips facing forward. Balance is equal on both sides. From here, raise your left arm. This is where you might want to use a strap. You can hang it from behind you. Otherwise, you can grab your shirt. So we're going to bend the left elbow. Use the right hand to carry the elbow towards the center of your head. So your left palm lands between your shoulder blades. And if you don't have a strap, grab a hold of your shirt here. Reach the right hand underneath, grab a hold of your shirt, and walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe they clasp. As you firm down to your feet, energize your legs. Engage your abdomen. Draw the shoulder blades down the back and breathe in to broaden your chest upwards. Keep firming the belly and legs, and exhale, begin to fold towards your right shin, just about 1/3 per breath, making your way into whatever your range of your forward fold is on this side, where you can maintain the optimal length of your spine and breath, meaning the chin doesn't close the throat by dropping towards the chest. The gaze is slightly ahead of your right toes. Feel how your two hips are so even that I could place this book across your lower back and it would stay balanced. Feel the fronts of your thighs engage as we open up the backs of the thighs. Taking 2 more breaths here in pyramid pose, Utthita Parshvottanasana. Now inhale, come up halfway, lower your fingertips in front of your right toes and bend the right knee just enough to shift your weight entirely onto your right foot. Keep the hips leveled, you're balancing that book. Flex the left foot and lift the heel to the height of your hip. Balance the 2 hips and lift the navel towards the spine. Remember the beginning and half forward fold when I asked you to imagine you were in plank and how you're engaging the muscles in your torso? Find that here, and maybe you begin to lift the fingertips or a few off the floor. You're in warrior 3 for a few more breaths. Maybe you extend the arms back. Maybe you bend the left knee and try to catch the top of the foot with 2 hands, coiling the chest a bit. Whatever variation you want to explore, take another 1 or more breaths before standing in mountain pose with both feet on the ground. Arriving in mountain, before we switch sides, just going to take a balancing hip opener. So shift your weight onto your left foot, turn out your right leg, join your hands at your heart, and flexing your right foot, cross the ankle just above your left thigh or on your left thigh. Bend the left knee like you're sitting in chair and try to evenly draw your sitting bones back and down while drawing the navel in and up. Lift your heart, gaze forward, maybe raise the arms. Feel the contact of your right shin against your left thigh, helping you to splay open your right thigh at the hip. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths here. Giving the outer right hip and glute some love. Imagine breathing into it. Now root down to your left foot and exhale to rise up to stand. Step the right foot down, feet hips width apart. Step the right foot back 2/3 as far as you did in warrior 1. Both heels on the ground, both hips facing forward, legs straight. Strap in the right hand if you're using one, hang it behind your back with the arm overhead. Bend your right elbow behind the center of your head and drop your right palm between your shoulder blades. If no strap, grab your shirt. Reach the left hand under, grab your shirt, walk your hands as close together as you can, maybe they clasp. Firm down through your feet, engage the muscles in your legs and belly. Breathe in, broaden your chest up towards the sky. Breathe out, hinge forward, just 1/3 of your range per breath. As you consciously explore the range of motion, which might be different on this side. Keep drawing the left hip back. Imagine I could balance this big heavy book across your lower back. Feel the optimal length in your spine and your breath as you open your throat. Pyramid pose, Utthita Parshvatanasana. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. In engaging your quadriceps, imagine that you're trying to lift your kneecaps without locking your knees. Help support the hamstrings. Now keep firming the belly and the legs. Inhale, lengthen your spine halfway. Lower your fingertips just in front of your left toes and lightly bend the left knee. Shift your weight onto your left foot, so crawl your hands a foot in front of your left toes, and flexing the right foot, lift the heel to the height of your hip. Imagine that wall you're pressing the foot against. Balance the 2 hips, engage the belly, feel plank pose in your torso. How's your breathing? You might bend the left knee a little to help you lift a finger or more off the ground. Maybe the arms reach back. Maybe they reach for your right ankle as you bend the right knee and kick the leg towards straight, sort of like a bow and arrow. Whatever the variation, give yourself another breath or few before eventually landing in mountain pose. Nice. And from mountain, join your hands at your heart. And let's take the other side of that standing hip opener. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Bend your left knee and turn open at the hip. Flex your left foot and cross the ankle on top of your right thigh. Bend your right knee and begin to sit like chair pose. Try to evenly draw your sitting bones back. Hug the belly towards the spine and lift your heart. Maybe lift the arms. Give yourself maybe 3 more breaths here. Notice as you're flexing your left foot, you're helping to stabilize your left knee in its alignment as you open the hip. One more deep breath. And root down. Exhale to rise up. Bring your feet hips width apart again. Bend your knees into a modified chair with the arms reaching forward. Imagine there's a wall behind your back and you're very slowly sliding it against that wall to sit down. Nice. And when you are on the ground, press down to your feet, lift the spine tall, and relax the shoulders. Give yourself several breaths to very slowly lower your back onto the ground. Feeling the team of many muscles of your core bring stability to your spine. And once you're there, bring your arms down by your sides and slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. We're preparing for our last 2 back bends, starting with bridge pose. Parallel your feet, hips width apart. If you have a block, you might want to hug the skinny width between your thighs. Gives the lower back more support. Ground your shoulders and lift your hips. Give yourself 5 to 8 full breaths before exhaling to lower the spine. As your pelvis is lifted, slide your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. And while keeping your arms straight, if your hands meet, interlace the fingers. Rooting down through your outer upper arms, tilt your chin slightly back away from your chest. Full breaths, as this posture helps to stretch the lungs, as well as the front of the shoulders, fronts of the hips, fronts of the thighs. So actively lengthen your tailbone forward, keeping the thighs parallel. Spin your inner thighs slightly downward, broadening your sacrum. Energetically, not visibly, drag the heels towards the glutes, engaging your hamstrings and slightly the glutes. And as you feel ready, take a few breaths to rest with your back on the ground. Try not to hug the knees in until later. You might like to just rock the thighs side to side a bit to massage the lower back. Take your choice of the last back bend here, whether it's the same thing, bridge pose, or upward facing bow if you normally practice that, placing the hands alongside your ears. I'm not going to do that because the headpiece falls. Or regular bow, which is rolling onto your stomach. I will do that if you want to take it with me. Dhanurasana for 5 to 8 breaths. Either posture, make sure your knees are no wider than hips width. If you're in Dhanurasana, catch hold of your outer feet and kick your legs towards straight while pulling your feet to lift your knees off the ground. Center the back bend right under your scapula, not the lower back. Think of elongating the lower back by actively stretching the tailbone towards the space between your knees. Notice the space in your neck, especially your throat. Whether you're on your stomach or your back, take a few breaths to just let go of the pose and rest. Be with whatever you feel in the moment. If you're on your back, you might want to rock to one side to make your way up. Otherwise, just come up to all fours, hands and knees, and we're going to do a counter posture and thread the needle. So with hands and knees on the ground, raise your left arm up towards the sky, breathe in, then exhale, thread it underneath your right bent elbow, and rest the left side of your head all the way to the ground. If it doesn't meet the floor, put something under your head like a pillow or a block. Feel that you could still balance that book across your lower back, keeping the hips leveled so that you're twisting at your waistline rather than your pelvis, turning the chest. Imagine you could breathe into the back area of your heart, the backs of your lungs. Feel that expansion and feel that release. One more breath. And then pressing the ground, slowly come up again to all fours. Switching, raise your right arm up. Then thread it underneath your left bent elbow. Rest the right side of your head all the way down. Use a prop if needed. Re-level the hips and rotate the rib cage from the waistline. Breathe into the back of your lungs. About 2 more breaths here. And carefully unwind to come up to sit so that you can extend your left leg forward for Janu Shirshasana. Left leg forward, drop the right knee open and bring the sole of your right foot high on your inner left thigh. If you have a strap, you can place it around the ball of your left foot. We're going to add a twist, so just hold the strap in your right hand if you do. Otherwise, right arm to the sky. Left hand on the ground beside the left hip. Flexing your left foot, root your sitting bones down and lift the spine tall as you breathe in. Rotate the chest to face the outside of your left leg and begin to fold towards that corner. Now, if you don't have a strap, you can press your hand against your outer left calf or grab a hold of your outer left foot, drawing your chest forward so that you're pressing the shoulder blades down your back, firming the right sitting bone to the earth as you rotate the chest and twist. Folding in. Imagine breathing into the right side of your lower back. There's a deep muscle on both sides of the lower back there, the quadratus lumborum. So as you breathe in, think of expanding that area. And as you breathe out, consciously relax that area. 2 more breaths. Now leading with your chest, breathe in to slowly lift your spine. Let's switch legs. Transfer the strap to the ball of your right foot if you're using it. Bring the sole of your left foot high on your inner right thigh. Flex the right foot. If no strap, right hand down just beside the hip. Left arm up. Press the sitting bones down and breathe in to lift your spine. Breathe out, twist to your right, and then extend your heart towards that corner. Inhale, root the sitting bone, especially the left. Exhale, lengthen and fold, twisting. If no strap, you can press the outside of your right calf or catch a hold of your outer foot and draw the shoulder blades down the back as you expand the chest forward. You might focus on breathing into the left side of your lower back. Last 2 breaths. Lead with your chest. Breathe in to slowly rise up. So any last posture, whether you'd like to add one more hip opener, forward folding and bound angle pose like this, or lying on your back in the hip opener, which is a restorative posture. You could place your left hand on your heart, your right hand on the belly, or legs at the wall if you have a wall nearby. Take that last posture to just help you to ease into corpse pose. Now find a position to unwind in, where you could just let the body be still, let go of engaging any muscles consciously. Even let go of controlling your breathing as you close your eyes and drop your attention inward. As you continue to lie still, bring your awareness to your breath. I'll count from 5 as we breathe in, from 5 as you breathe out through the mouth. So empty this breath Then inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beginning with small movements like rubbing your fingertips together and wiggling your toes. Ease into moving your body and transitioning towards sitting up. You might turn over to your right side, eventually lifting your spine tall. Whether eyes closed or half closed, for 2 minutes in meditation. Giving ourselves a moment to take in the experience of our practice and to just be with however we're feeling as we connect to our natural breathing. Joining your palms together at your heart. Let's seal our practice with a positive thought moving forward. Feeling what you feel now on the spectrum. What's a positive thought or affirmation to move forward with? Continuing to elevate your state of being or maintain it. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.